going live.
Come on, we're
right
going
here,
live, right here on Facebook.
Right here on the Facebook, on the line, as the kids like to call it. But anyways, hey, what's up, everybody? I know I'm a few minutes late on my time zone, but you know what? I've delivered the goods. The man himself,
It was
the
my
bishop.
fault. I kept talking.
Well, it's because you just dropped a brilliant, incredible session to the staff. I mean, honestly, you should have been there, but you weren't. So that's just kind of the reality of it. But honestly, it was so good.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, calling us to take that spiritual authority. Oh my goodness! Wow, that was good. But we're here, and we're talking about the new book.
Come on, I'm so excited about this. You know, as a pastor of a church, we see so many people get saved, but the big pressure is not getting people saved. It's what do we do once we get them saved? And Jesus didn't say go into all the world and make salvations. He said go into all the world and make disciples. So what I'm so excited about this Following Jesus book, when you look at it on the inside, it is every step of now that I'm saved, what? It's water baptism, it's baptism, Holy Spirit, it's reaching out to your friends, it's getting planted in the local church, it's understanding your role in the Great Commission. So I love this book. So we're going to obviously be the first church, hopefully, to put in the orders. We're going to give this to every person that gets saved. Can I just encourage you, even if you've already been a Christian for a while, it's worth a read through this book. But if you're a pastor or a leader and you're intent on fulfilling the Great Commission, this is a must.
Thanks for saying that. I feel the same, obviously. Just kind of finishing it up. And, honestly, one of the things for me over the last 15 years, working with people getting saved in ministry, at that point of them coming to Christ, going, man, I wish I kind of had like a real quick, almost like cheat sheet, how-to manual that I could hand off for a new believer. And so that's really kind of the passion behind this, just going, hey, but when God sends people to our churches, I want them to be able to walk away with, even if for some reason we don't see them again, but they've got a tool that gives them the essentials, gets them back, make sure they know how to get connected to a church, make sure they know how to get connected to God. And because, God meets them in the moment, God shows up when they're at our church, and then they walk away and they're back to work, they're back to their life. And if they don't have somebody in their ear, man, hopefully this is the kind of book that can be able to speak right to them. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about with you just for a couple minutes, man, we're actually just kind of celebrating 1 year of basing here at C3 in San Diego. I can't believe it.
That's so fun.
And you guys have just been such a joy to merge in, and just felt so much like home, felt so much like family.
I mean, we've just felt like it's, you guys have just been such a blessing to us since you've come here. So, and I don't even pay him. He's not even on my staff, and he's freaking awesome.
Well, thanks for that. But
Yet.
Yeah.
Put the yet in there.
Well, here's the deal. I want to talk a little bit about the disciple church.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think a lot of times we have this great commission from Christ, right? That's all of our mandate. Go into all the world, preach the gospel, make disciples. But I think sometimes in church life and as pastors, we can get so caught up in maybe just going through the motions of church life, and maybe we're even struggling with, man, why do we keep hitting these growth ceilings? How come we aren't, seeing an increase of some kind? And I think sometimes it's because, we may be converting people on a Sunday, but we're not discipling people. And a discipled Christian is the most effective outreach, of the church. So I love the heart, I love the culture here at C3. So let's maybe chat about that for a few minutes.
Well, one of the first things, Samuel, is I've just noticed that for whatever reason, we kind of elevate a snappy vision above the Great Commission. And it sounds really awesome. Our church vision is to, influence the community and influence the nations. And people are like, wow, that is awesome. But it's rebellion. Because that's not the Great Commission.
Right.
So what we do is we don't even realize we inadvertently trump the Great Commission because we've got this snappy vision of wanting to influence, and we want to influence and raise up marketplace leaders or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, our mission, like here, is it's save, make, develop. We have to save lost souls, make disciples, and then develop
That's it.
Powerhouse leaders. You know, that's what Christ is doing. So I think a lot of churches struggle because they have a great vision. It looks fantastic on paper. It even looks good in a corporate setting. Yep. Corporate people buy in. Wow, I really like that. Influence the community, influence the nations. Oh, that's something I could give myself to. Man, why do I keep hitting ceilings? Well, the Great Commission wasn't the Great Suggestion.
Wow.
It was the Great Commission.
Yeah.
And so you'll find that the power of God travels behind His Word.
Yeah.
So when you're doing something that's a really good idea, but it's not the God, it's just the good, you'll find there's no power behind it. And so whatever is established in the arm of man is going to be sustained by the arm of man. So we've just found that, just being a discipleship-based church, giving ourselves to the Great Commission, we just find that there's just God's power rests on that each and every week. So...
You know what's one of the phrases I love when you're talking church leadership, when people are talking about vision, there's that term vision leak.
Yeah. And
I love those who speak to that, and I think there's some real practical applications of that in leadership and in team life. But I think sometimes, like you're saying, unintentionally as pastors and church leaders, we can end up getting so focused on like the cute mission statement we've created, the slogan that we feel like is tweets well, hashtags well.
Yeah.
If we're not careful, we end up as churches getting vision leak from the Great Commission. You know, we're trying to make sure our people don't have vision leak, but here we've unintentionally sometimes gotten off course. So it's like, when's the last time as a church we've reminded people about Matthew 28? When's the last time we've prayed for our city? When's the last, you know what I mean? Like, and obviously in general we're doing that. But have we continued to reinforce, remind, come back to what are we here to do? You know, and to make disciples.
So true, so true. I would honestly say on that, I think that your church is on the right track if somebody comes up to you and goes, "Oh my gosh, Pastor, I just read Matthew 28. That's what we're doing."
Yeah.
If you actually have to say, "Hey, this is Matthew 28. This is what we should be doing."
Right. That's a good point.
So Matthew 28, should be. It's like, I don't need to tell someone, "Hey, I put chocolate in this." If it's chocolate cake, they should taste it and go, "Oh my gosh, I know that one of the ingredients in this is chocolate cake."
That's good.
Because it's all the way through the mix.
Yep.
And I think that. The Great Commission should be all the way through. It should drive every program, every staff hire, every outreach, everything that we do should have that Matthew 28, 18 to 20 Great Commission in there, so that when somebody reads it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's what we do." Not, "Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? We really need to get back to this." If we get back to this, I think that's what you're talking about, is that vision leak that we've just drifted on. And it's amazing. The enemy has so many, highlighted and neon sign glowing distractions left and right in our peripheral to try and take us off course. But if you just give your energy to making disciples, you'll find the power of God rests on that. And you'll find that your church will just continue to grow.
I love it. Maybe the last thing before we kind of sign off here is one of the things I think is so key as you're raising up and making disciples, and one of the things that Katie and I, when we first moved here, just noticed right away in the DNA and the culture of this house was really that empowering, releasing side of the making of a disciple and making of a leader as well. Is that it's one thing to give people information, and one thing even to go through a course or a class or a training, but then when you're releasing people into ministry, that releasing part, there's something about that release that Jesus saw and that we see as we do that. And maybe just say something around that, because I feel like you and Leanne have just led that so incredibly well here in the C3 culture. There's so much empowerment and cheering people on and celebrating and releasing that it just calls a greatness out of people.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the 4 R's. It's rescue. We're called to rescue a generation. We're called to restore. Then we're called to raise, and then release. And I think sometimes, as a pastor, as a leader, you can kind of feel a little bit threatened, or where does that leave me if I release somebody into leadership? But you got to look at the example of David and Saul. Yeah. Saul saw David as a threat, whereas God saw David as Saul's greatest asset. David had already killed Goliath, solved Saul's biggest problem. But Saul just couldn't get away from being threatened and could not release him into ministry. And sadly, Saul ended up, dying before David was released. Can you imagine how different our Bible and how different history would be if Saul recognized what was on David, developed what was in David, and then released David into, his gifting. So we're kind of determined here that we're going to find the Davids that God has sent us, the giant slayers like this young man here. Find what's on him, develop what's in him, and then release him into that calling. And we don't have enough giant slayers. We don't have enough people to take down Goliaths. And I just know that the greatest days for the kingdom are ahead of us. And all of us get remembered in history. I don't want to be remembered as the Saul that was threatened by people around. I want to be the person that raised up and released champions around about me.
So good.
And and I think if you're happy to understand that the light that God gives you is a light that you're meant to share, and you're meant to bring other people into that light, and that God actually doesn't look at how you hog the light. God looks at how you dispense the light to other people.
Wow.
I think that's what gives Jesus joy. Jesus came as the light of the world, but his first sermon is, "You're the light of the world."
That's it.
He immediately brought people into that and gave his light to them so that they could let their light shine. And I think that's what we need to do as leaders.
Awesome. Well, just in kind of wrapping that up, honestly, pastors, church leaders, I wrote this book because I want to do anything I possibly can to partner with churches to help facilitate that discipleship process. I know it's at the forefront of our minds. I know we're praying for it. I know we're believing to see the Great Commission fulfilled. But I oftentimes know, man, we got so much going on, and how do we resource our teams and our people effectively? I'm praying that Following Jesus will be that resource to help you guys. So check it out, followingjesusbook.com. And it's all on the social. You can, grab a sample copy, order bulk rate. Actually, for churches, we have an incredible rate. If you're ordering 50 or more, it's only $2.95 plus shipping a book. I mean,
that's ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous.
It's giving them away.
But I love it because it's black and white, because that's all it is. It's just following Jesus. That's all it is. And I'm telling you, it is the undiluted brilliance of what it is to go from a decision to a disciple. So get this. We're going to be the first to get it. We're going to get it through our C3 churches and then around the world. Following Jesus, it's a powerful tool. Pastors, get it to your people. Every person, give them a Bible and give them a Following Jesus manual, and you're going to find your church is going to grow exponentially.
Come on. In Jesus' name. Thank you, guys. Pastor, thanks for joining me for a few minutes, and good to see you guys, and we'll talk soon.